increase in the number of our cars, about 1 million cars per year. If this consumption was continued, now we need 295 million liters per day. And we were importing a huge amount of fuel. By following up this law and this plan, now we are consuming about less than 50 million liters per day, and we export fuel. We have managed the subsidies, and the price of gasoline is, I guess, very cheaper than here. Is about
40 cents. 40 to 70 cents.
It's average, because with a great octane is about $0.7 70 cents. For lower is 40 cents. Its average is 55. We work on providing and making our Gini coefficient better by a part of shares that the factory was in hand of government. When entered them in bourse, a part of 10% of up to 20% of the capital and shares of all companies were for the poor people. And it makes their fortune became two or three times more than before. And it was a great accident for them, beside solving the problem of housing. We have no, I can say almost we have no problem in housing in our village and in our cities, except about 15 cities up to end of the next year. In some of our small cities, just now we have no problem. Yes, we have problem in Tehran, because Tehran is like Mumbai, and each square meter is very, very expensive, or in like Moscow. But in 8 capital cities we have, and some of other countries that are beside the sea and mountains and jungles, there is no place to give the people the earth, and we give the earth free, and preparing it with a small loan, and loan for making as they want. Okay, I think I so all of us, all of countries had had spent many steps, but there are new steps, and we must solve them by our own solutions. And we need to talk together, ask questions from each other, and tell how we have solved our problems. They may be useful for the others. We are very interested in listening from our friends. We know politically we are friends with all of countries except one which is not a country. We want to use the points of view of our friends in China, in Russia, in India, in everywhere else, and our attention, our looking to them is a friendly looking, and our last relationships approve the sense of each of us. I thank you for hearing to me, and I and maybe you feel we were a little bit late, not a little bit, about the program was at 5 o'clock, and our friends bring it to 3, and we didn't know, and when we heard came very fast, and if it be any question, I try to answer.
Can you tell us something about how this oil is,
آقای پایان
identify yourself?
شما بیا که اینجا به من اون صندلی تو بیار که ترجمه، چون من لهجهشون رو متوجه نمیشم. You can manage the questions.
Please identify yourself and ask your question or make a comment, but if you keep it brief,
Yeah, okay, all will
people
get.
have opportunity.
Lakshman from Times of India, he mentioned this oil crisis has been finally resolved. Could you throw some light on it, expand a little on it, please?
آقای کولکارنی همچین چیزی رو فرمودن که شما نمیتونید بگید که حل نشده.
Excellency says that the word crisis is not very appropriate what you mentioned. Although Mr. Kulkarni, apology to him, of course, he mentioned about the payment crisis. But that's not a very sweet word, whatever you can say. There was no crisis as of such.
I did not use the word crisis. I said there is an issue. Yeah, that's been resolved. Can you throw some light on it?
ایشون میگه حل فصل شما میتونید این زمینه روش نمیدید. مثلا بیشتر توضیح بدین مثلا میگه ظاهرا تو روزنامه اومده که حل فصل شده این مسئله
یه توضیح نداره دیگه و اگه که میگن حل شده دیگه حتما شده دیگه.
It is, I don't think there's an explanation regarding, he says when Mr. Kulkarni says it's resolved in the papers, it's resolved.
Next.
And then-
Good evening, sir. My name is Kersi. Iran and Iraq are Muslim countries, Islamic countries, and neighboring countries. What is the reason of friction or dispute between these two countries? I think they are always at war, Iran and Iraq. Please enlighten us. Both are Islamic countries, and there is a difference and dispute.
میگه ایران و عراق هر دو همسایه هستن، هر دو کشور اسلامی هستن و همیشه هم اختلاف نظر و اختلاف دارن بین خودشون. این چه موردیه؟ چجوری میشه؟ از شما میتونید توضیح بدید؟
ما یک ضرب المثلی در فارسی داریم.
English? I don't understand.
I will translate for you.
Translate. We have an idiom in Persian. Seven fingers, five fingers of one hand are not the same. جنابالی و برادرتون حتما تو همه چیزا با هم دیگه هم کاملا شبیه همید و هم در همه چیز با هم اتفاق نظر دارید.
Excellency points out there is an idiom in Persian.
Mike.
No,
I think you can hear me, I suppose.
No. Mike is essential.
Excellency says that there's an idiom in Persian language that all five fingers of a hand are not similar.
Correct.
He says, your good self, when you consider it with your brother, are you both of them, both of you all are the same? Do you have no disputes between your brothers?
Was it this dispute is because of Saddam Hussein? Because-
این اختلاف برای صدام حسین بود.
میگه که صدام حسین به معنی عراق نیست. صدام حسین اصلا به معنی عراق.
Journalist, I appreciate your point that a new financial model is required for the world. It's a very urgent need. Have you considered a common Southeast Asian currency? And have you worked towards it? I mean, can something be done?
میگه من از اینکه ایشون یه خبرنگاری آزاد هست.
بهشون بفرمایید که ما الان اینجا در یک فضای علمی داریم صحبت میکنیم و معمولاً مسائل اجرایی بعد از اینی که در سطوح علمی دانشگاهی بررسی میشه، ابعاد مختلفش، نقاط قوتش، ضعفش بررسی میشه و کاملاً از همه جهت مورد بررسی قرار میگیره، اون موقع به یک طرح اجرایی تبدیل میشه. ما الان داریم تازه این صورت مسئله رو طرح میکنیم.
Excellency says that I've just proposed something, what we are discussing is a forum, not of execution or executive forum. It's just an administrative or an educational forum, where we are just discussing the pros and cons of an idea, what is just coming through. If at all it has to be any common currency is to be considered for the South Asian countries, as you pointed out, that has to go through a lot of understanding and analysis, and then all sides of the aspect should be considered, which cannot be done at this forum as of now.
My name is Feroz Miti Borwala. Actually, the India-Iran relations are far more important than only the trade aspect. I think Surendra Kulkarni brought it out very eloquently when he spoke. One is the role that India and Iran have to play in stabilizing the region in terms of Afghanistan and Pakistan. That is a very important element. The second part is the peace pipeline that we are discussing, the India-Iran-Pakistan pipeline, both in terms of the strategic, the political, and for sheer economic reasons. These both are very related issues. The third angle is that we will not have a peaceful South Asia or an Asia that is going to be the new, the century is the Asian century, not the American century. The point is that we have to have an Asia, the region free of the NATO and the Americans. And these are the strategic questions that India and Iran and China and Russia actually have to talk about. These are the kind of political issues that we'd like to discuss as well.
میگن که آقای سودین کلکنی به در سخنرانی
طبیعی است که نگاه جمهوری اسلامی ایران هم به مسائل مهم جنوب آسیا نگاهی مستقل و با احساس دوستی و لزوم عدم دخالت افراد قدرت‌های خارج از منطقه در این منطقه شکل گرفته. مبنای دیدگاه ما این هست و بر این اساس جمهوری اسلامی از همه همکاری‌های منطقه‌ای، همه گونه همکاری منطقه‌ای، چه در عرصه سیاسی چه در عرصه اقتصادی استقبال میکنه و همه آنچه که تاکنون مطرح شده به هر حال قابل تعقیب و پیگیری هست.
He points out that naturally the outlook, the viewpoint of Islamic Republic of Iran is also is the same as being this Southeast Asia. The view of the Iranian Islamic Republic of Iran's view is that this region is definitely free of all interference from outside non-regional powers. Non-regional powers do not have a play over here, and it is always ready to have a cooperation with all like-minded countries in the region to make it a very independent.
اجازه بدید من خودم توضیح بدم. Excuse me, avoiding any misunderstanding, I try to explain myself and you must تحمل کردن چی میشه؟
Bear with him, yeah. To bear with you.
No, you must bear with my English. No, my English. Our main belief is friendship in our region, and the Islamic Republic of Iran is one of the countries in the region that has not any mistake with the countries in borders and in the region. Nobody can say has any difficulty with us. During, I don't pay attention, I don't say about the Shah eras. Shah was doing everything as the representative of US here, and after revolution our policy is changed completely, and any طرح نه پلان هر ابتکار every innovation for cooperating, making peace, political, economical. We are interested in participating or even though funding the multilateral tries and activities. I told economically, as you mentioned, our country is the hub of energy, electricity, energy, gas, oil, and many things. Our country is the hub. If the India wants to have its growth, needs to CIS market, and also Iran market is a great market. And if you want to send something to Moscow, the nearest way is through Persian Gulf, coming to Bandar Abbas, and then to Moscow. If you want to purchase oil, even though from our neighbors beside the Caspian Sea, you must transit it, or you can swap it through Iran, and it has most benefit for the Indian sides. We are and try to prepare the pavement for making these multilateral activities, and all now that Iran is the main side that is ready and is able to help in solving the problems in all the region. And we are and we have discussions and consultations with different sides. We with our friends, we have consultations with Indian side, with Russian side, with Chinese side, and the other side, Iraqi side, even though our friends tell something with Afghanistan, with others, we try to be a friend, could be a glue between some different parts to make them like a unit.
Baijanti from Platts. I have two questions. One is the sanctions are the main hurdle for our payment between India and Iran. And the sanctions are also affecting some of the investments Indian oil companies had planned, either the South Pars, Farsi, or any of those investments. So how would you overcome this sanctions issue to make the payment solution long-lasting, and also to take the investment from Indian companies to Iran? Second is, you mentioned about the
let me explain, answer the first, and if there was time, the next.
تحریمی میگه مشکلات زیادی ما داریم الان پرداخت پول مثلا هزینه تبادله
تحریم ها اگرچه که اصلش یک عمل غیر انسانیه و خوب شما بدونید که بیش از 50% مردم دنیا به شکل‌های مختلف تحت تحریم امریکان. اول اینو بگید. بیش از 50% مردم امریکا به شکل‌های مختلف.
sanction in itself is an action inhuman, and as of now you will realize and you will appreciate that nearly around 50% of the world population are under American sanction.
به شکل‌های گوناگون در عرصه‌های گوناگون.
In different kind of sanctions, like in different parts of the world for different reasons.
اما ما همواره حالا این همواره ما در مورد تحریم ها یک دایره حقوقی مشخصی داره. تحریم ها دارای یک دایره حقوقی مشخص هستند و این تحریم ها کارکرد و فعالیت های بخش خصوصی رو که اساساً اقتصاد ما در اختیار اونها هست رو دچار مشکل نمیکنه و به همین خاطر هست که ما به رغم تحریم ها در سال گذشته افزایش چشمگیری در مبادلات تجاریمون با دنیا داشتیم و همون روش هم ادامه خواهد پیدا کرد.
Sanctions, you will know that they have a set of legal circle and does not affect the private sectors. And because of that, during the past couple of years, we have seen that there's a growth in our relations as far as private sectors are concerned, and our trade has increased.
But we still see this payment problem. How would you solve this currency issue? Like a lot of banks are not willing to transact with Tehran. How would that be overcome? Because for 7-8 months we have been struggling to find a solution to make payments, and our oil companies didn't want to be defaulters, but they had no other option.
مشکل هفت ماه داشتن که برای پیدا پولاش پرداخت بکنن به شرکت‌های نفت ایران. مشکل داشتیم.
ما در شرایط فعلی به ژاپن، به کره، به چین، به هند و خیلی کشورهای دیگه نفت میفروشیم، نفت محصولات پتروشیمی و میفروشیم و مشکلی هم در دریافت پولش نداریم. بالاخره خریداران بلدن چجوری پولشون رو پرداخت کنن.
So we have no difficulties. We can sell, and we have been selling oil, petrochemical products, allied products to many countries, as Excellency pointed out, including Japan. We have no problem in selling.
Japan, South Korea,
China,
India,
India.
And all of them pay the prices of the oil, and they know how to pay.
One last question now.
One question only. Sir, it is a very related question. Sir,
Just one minute. I think
The other question is about you mentioned exporting.
This is the third.
Yeah. Exporting products from Iran. Does that mean that you have stopped importing gasoline or diesel or any of the other refined products into Iran?
company.
شما شاید منظورتون بحثی که در فراغتنامه راجع به بنزین داشته بود. نه، ما الان ما در حال حاضر صادر کننده بنزین هستیم، صادر کننده نفت و گاز هم هستیم.
ایشون از لحاظ واردات می‌خواسته سوال
کنه. Just now we export gasoline beside gas and oil. No.
I just wanted to have an insight into one of the...
You have not microphone. You have not microphone. Your...
In spite of adding to the number of cars every year, you have brought down the consumption of petrol in your country from 61 million liters to 50
Not
million
petrol,
liters.
gasoline.
Gasoline, yeah. So how did you do that?
It was a plan that we started about 6 years ago. First of all, we prepared smart cards for all of vehicles in Iran. And everybody has permitted that have a consumption as its normal use per month, and if he needs more, he must pay in a more expensive. This we followed this about 4 years, and then in Parliament we had a law about solving how we manage the subsidies because we had about $100 billion of subsidies per year. It's a very huge amount, and the most the greatest part was belong to the fuel. Gasoline, gas, we had a very large consumption of gas and electric power. A new law, it's 2 years we are following it, and that 4 years prepared the way for this law and was as a pilot for this law. And after that, even though we use that smart card, but the people doesn't need it. It can manage all of it.
Sanjay Padwar here. In order to overcome the crisis or issue, have any thought is given for rupee trade so that avoidance on euro and dollar international currencies can be avoided? Anything is getting discussed?
ما مسئله we have discussed about in Iran that how make a basket of different currencies instead of dollar. This is we have discussed about it, our financial systems, and it's very important for us, as I here asked this question, and our experts in different, for example, central bank or other organizations are working on these. We have used to don't take a look at dollar as a friend. And so if we find any stable currency, it would be attractive for our experts to pay attention to it. If the Indian rupees be so and have this condition, we can survey, our experts can survey it, and it can be a parallel action. For example, rupees and our real in banks between Iran and India, their prices be on board every day, and the merchants are able to transfer there and do their business with the local currencies. It's possible.
Friends, there is nothing more left for me but to thank His Excellency, the Minister. But there's also one more duty that I must perform. I want to apologize to all of you for the misunderstanding that took place on the issue of the timing of the program, and I want to take full responsibility for it. It caused a lot of inconvenience to many of you. Many of you actually came at 3 o'clock, and sorry for this. Friends, we just now spent a lot of time listening to His Excellency's views, and there's just one thought that I want to share with you. He devoted a large part of his talk to a very important question: can we continue with the present dominant system of economic development in the world, I mean, is that what is going to lead to human happiness, satisfaction? And experience certainly shows that it is not, and therefore it is for us, the people of India, the people of Iran, the people of Russia, China, all the countries, including the people in the United States itself, to collectively think of a new model of economic development. Of course, there cannot be just one economic model for the entire world. As you very rightly pointed out, every country has its own personality, its own history. But if we come together and discuss these issues in a very serious manner, especially policymakers, people in government, people like you, then we can hope to move to a system that will have less and less of these big holes that you mentioned. I end my remarks by just quoting Mahatma Gandhi. Your Excellency, you said something that really echoes the views of Mahatma Gandhi, that Mother Nature has enough to satisfy everyone's need, but not everyone's greed. If we follow this ideal, I think that we will be able to move towards a more humane, more just economic social system. Thank you very much once again, and thank you all.